Welcome to Lesson 15.7, where we apply AI capabilities to one of the most intellectually demanding aspects of grant development, program design. Strong program design is the foundation of compelling proposals. It articulates not just what you will do, but why those activities will produce the outcomes you seek. Logic models, theories of change, and evidence-based approaches all require careful reasoning about cause and effect, and this is exactly where AI can serve as a powerful thinking partner. In this lesson, we will explore how to use AI to strengthen program logic, stress test assumptions, identify potential barriers, and discover evidence-based interventions that can inform your approach. The goal is not to have AI design programs for you. That would miss the point of community-centered, expert-informed program development. Instead, AI becomes a sparring partner that helps you think more rigorously about your program design, challenge your assumptions, and ensure your logic is airtight before reviewers ever see your proposal. By the end of this lesson, you will have practical techniques for using AI to elevate the quality of your program design work. Before diving into specific techniques, let us be clear about AI's appropriate role in program design. AI cannot design programs for you. Effective program design requires deep knowledge of your community, understanding of local context, relationships with stakeholders, and professional expertise in your field. AI has none of these. What AI can do is serve as a rigorous thinking partner. It can examine your program logic and identify weaknesses. It can challenge assumptions and point out where claims are unsupported. It can brainstorm potential barriers you might not have considered. It can suggest evidence-based approaches for you to research further. Think of AI as a skeptical colleague who asks tough questions to make your work stronger. The design itself must emerge from human expertise and community voice. AI simply helps you refine and strengthen that design. This distinction is crucial because funders increasingly value community-centered design processes. Using AI appropriately supports that process. Using it as a replacement undermines the authentic community engagement that makes programs effective. To effectively use AI for program design critique, we need to review the components of logic models, which are the primary tool for articulating program logic. Inputs are the resources invested in your program, including staff, funding, facilities, materials, and partnerships. Activities are what your program does with those inputs, the services delivered, events held, trainings conducted, and interventions implemented. Outputs are the direct, countable products of your activities, such as the number of people served, sessions delivered, or materials distributed. Outputs show what you did and how much. Outcomes are the changes that result from your activities, typically organized into short-term, intermediate, and long-term outcomes. Short-term outcomes might be changes in knowledge or awareness. Intermediate outcomes might be changes in behavior or practice. Long-term outcomes are the ultimate impacts you seek, often changes in conditions or systems. The power of a logic model is in the connections between these elements, the if-then statements that explain why your activities should produce your outcomes. These connections are exactly what AI can help you stress test. The most valuable application of AI in program design is stress testing your logic model. To do this effectively, provide AI with your complete logic model, including all inputs, activities, outputs, and outcomes, along with the narrative explanation of how activities connect to outcomes. Then prompt for critical analysis. A powerful prompt structure is: you are a skeptical program evaluator reviewing this logic model for a grant proposal. Your job is to identify weaknesses. First, examine each connection between activities and outcomes. Identify which connections are strongly supported by logic or evidence and which rely on unsupported assumptions. Second, identify the three weakest links in this logic model, places where the if-then reasoning is most questionable. Third, suggest what evidence or additional explanation would be needed to strengthen each weak link. This prompting approach leverages AI's analytical capabilities while keeping you in control of the final design. AI identifies potential problems. You decide whether they are real concerns and how to address them. Here is a complete prompt for logic model critique using our rhetorical prompting framework. Persona: you are a senior program evaluator with 20 years of experience reviewing grant proposals. You are known for your rigorous, skeptical analysis that identifies logical gaps others miss. You believe that strong programs require airtight logic, not just good intentions. Context: I am developing a proposal for a youth mentoring program in urban communities. Our theory is that connecting at-risk youth with trained adult mentors will improve school attendance, academic performance, and graduation rates. I am providing our complete logic model with inputs, activities, outputs, short-term, intermediate, and long-term outcomes. Task: analyze this logic model and identify the three most significant logical gaps or unsupported assumptions. For each gap, explain why it is problematic and suggest what would strengthen it, whether evidence, revised logic, or additional activities. Constraints: be constructively critical. The goal is to improve the proposal, not discourage the applicant. Focus on specific, actionable improvements. When AI provides logic model critique, you must analyze that feedback thoughtfully rather than accepting it uncritically. Not all AI critiques are equally valid. Some may reflect genuine weaknesses in your logic model, others may arise from AI's lack of field-specific knowledge or community context. For each critique, ask yourself several questions. Is this gap real? Does the AI identify a genuine logical weakness? Or is it missing knowledge you have about why this connection works? Is this critique relevant? Some logical gaps are more concerning than others. A gap that affects your core theory of change is more serious than a gap in peripheral activities. Can you address this? For valid critiques, can you strengthen the logic with additional evidence, clearer explanation, or modified activities? Use this analytical process to separate signal from noise in AI feedback. Incorporate valid critiques into your design improvement process while setting aside critiques that reflect AI's limitations rather than your proposal's weaknesses. Beyond logic model critique, AI can help identify potential implementation barriers that might undermine your program's success. Strong proposals do not just describe what will go right, they acknowledge what could go wrong and explain how those challenges will be addressed. AI can brainstorm barriers across multiple dimensions that you might not have considered. Recruitment barriers include challenges in reaching your target population, overcoming skepticism, and competing with other demands on participants' time. Engagement barriers involve keeping participants actively involved once enrolled, maintaining motivation, and overcoming practical obstacles like transportation or childcare. Retention barriers concern completing the full program cycle, especially for long-term interventions where dropout rates can be significant. Operational barriers include staffing challenges, space limitations, technology requirements, and coordination with partners. Environmental barriers encompass external factors like economic conditions, policy changes, or competing community priorities. By prompting AI to brainstorm barriers systematically, you can identify issues to address proactively in your proposal. Here is an effective prompt for implementation barrier analysis. Given this program designed serving low-income families in urban communities, identify the 10 most likely barriers to successful implementation. For each barrier, provide three things. First, a clear description of the potential barrier. Second, an assessment of likelihood, rated as high, medium, or low. Third, an assessment of severity if the barrier occurs, again rated high, medium, or low. Fourth, one or two specific mitigation strategies. Consider barriers related to participant recruitment, engagement and retention, staffing and capacity, partnerships and coordination, community context and external factors, and technology and infrastructure. Focus on practical, real-world challenges rather than theoretical concerns. This structured approach produces comprehensive barrier analysis that directly supports your proposal's risk management section. Many funders specifically look for this kind of thoughtful anticipation of challenges. When you are in early program design stages, AI can help brainstorm alternative approaches for addressing your target problem. This is particularly valuable when you are exploring options before committing to a specific model. You might prompt, I am trying to address low high school graduation rates in urban communities. What are 5 different program models that have been used to address this problem? For each model, briefly describe the approach, identify its theoretical basis, and note both strengths and limitations. I am not looking for a recommendation, just a range of options to consider. This generates a starting point for exploration, not a final answer. The AI might suggest mentoring programs, credit recovery programs, wraparound support services, early warning systems, or alternative school models. Each has trade-offs worth understanding. Critically, you must research any suggested models independently. AI might describe a model that does not actually exist as described, or it might miss important nuances. Use AI suggestions as research leads, then verify through your own investigation. Funders increasingly want proposals grounded in evidence-based practices. AI can accelerate your search for relevant evidence by pointing you toward established frameworks, models, and research. A useful prompt is, I am developing a program to reduce youth violence in urban neighborhoods. What are the most well-established evidence-based frameworks or intervention models for this problem? For each, name the model, describe its core components, and identify where I might find research supporting its effectiveness. Also suggest key search terms I should use in academic databases to find relevant literature. This prompt positions AI as a research assistant pointing you toward relevant work, not as the evidence source itself. The distinction matters enormously. AI might tell you about cognitive behavioral therapy approaches, trauma-informed care models, or community-based violence intervention programs. It might suggest terms like youth violence prevention efficacy or community violence intervention research. But you must verify every claim about evidence in actual research databases. AI can hallucinate research that does not exist or mischaracterize what research actually shows. The verification requirement for evidence claims cannot be overstated. Never cite AI's claims about research as evidence in your proposals. AI can and does fabricate citations, misstate research findings, and confidently describe studies that do not exist. Instead, use AI's suggestions as starting points for your own research. If AI mentions the Positive Youth Development Framework, search for that term in Google Scholar. If it mentions a specific study, look for that actual study. When you find real research, read the original studies rather than relying on abstracts or summaries. Understand what the research actually demonstrates, including its limitations, population studied, and effect sizes. AI might describe a program as highly effective when the research shows modest effects under specific conditions. Build your evidence section from verified sources you have personally reviewed. Your citations should reflect actual research you have read and understood. AI accelerates the discovery process, but it cannot substitute for genuine engagement with the evidence base. I can assist in developing evaluation questions that align with your program design and funder priorities. Strong evaluation questions are specific, measurable, and directly connected to the outcomes in your logic model. A useful prompt is, based on this logic model, suggest 5 process evaluation questions and 5 outcome evaluation questions for this youth mentoring program. For each question, identify which logic model component it addresses and suggest 1 or 2 possible data sources for answering it. Process evaluation questions focus on implementation, asking whether you are doing what you said you would do. Did you recruit the target number of mentors? Did mentor-mentee pairs meet with planned frequency? Outcome evaluation questions focus on results, asking whether participants changed as expected. Did participants improve school attendance? Did academic performance increase? AI can help ensure comprehensive coverage of your logic model in your evaluation plan. However, technical evaluation design, including sampling strategies, statistical approaches, and valid measurement instruments, requires human expertise or consultation with evaluators. While logic models show what connects to what, theories of change explain why those connections exist. AI can help strengthen your theory of change narrative by identifying where your explanatory reasoning is unclear or incomplete. A prompt for theory of change analysis might be, review this theory of change narrative for a youth mentoring program. For each causal claim, meaning each statement that this activity leads to this outcome, assess whether the explanation of why this happens is clear and compelling. Identify places where the causal mechanism is assumed but not explained, and suggest what additional reasoning would strengthen those connections. A strong theory of change does not just assert that mentoring improves outcomes, it explains the mechanism. Perhaps mentoring provides consistent adult support that builds self-efficacy, which increases persistence in school, which improves academic outcomes. AI can help you identify where you are making assertions without explanation and prompt you to develop the underlying reasoning that makes your theory compelling. As we conclude this lesson on AI for program design, let us be clear about how AI critique integrates with your broader design process. AI should inform but not replace human-centered program design. Your program design should still emerge from community input, needs assessment, stakeholder engagement, and professional expertise. AI critique comes after initial design work is complete, serving to strengthen and refine what humans have created. Think of AI as a quality assurance step in your design process. You develop a program design through appropriate community engagement. You articulate that design in a logic model and theory of change. Then you use AI to stress test the logic, identify gaps, and brainstorm potential barriers. Finally, you return to human judgment to decide which AI critiques warrant response and how to address them. This integration preserves the authentic, community-centered design process that makes programs effective while adding the rigorous analytical check that AI provides. Let us consolidate the key lessons from our exploration of AI for program design. First, AI serves as an analytical sparring partner, not a program designer. It helps you think more rigorously about designs that emerge from human expertise and community engagement. Second, use AI for logic model critique and stress testing. Prompt it to identify weak links, unsupported assumptions, and gaps in your causal reasoning. Third, systematically brainstorm implementation barriers using AI. Identify challenges across recruitment, engagement, retention, operations, and external factors, then develop mitigation strategies. Fourth, remember that AI suggests research directions, not evidence itself. Use its suggestions as starting points for your own literature review, but verify everything in actual research databases before including it in proposals. Fifth, human expertise drives final design decisions. AI feedback requires human judgment to assess validity and determine appropriate responses. In our next lesson, we will apply AI to another critical proposal component, budget development and justification.